Even all, well, after the last video I put the top line or top rope and lead line on a gill net. Well, today I've now got to put the gill on the net. Basically on the net you've got the top line with the floats, was obviously this bit of braided polypropylene here. Then you've got the bottom line, what's the lead line, was obviously this bit here. Well, obviously you've got the mesh here, and you need to do something between the top line and bottom line. That is the gill of the net, because obviously that's only for mono, and if you're hauling on the top rope you'll just rip the mono instead of hauling the bottom rope as well. So what I use for gill material is braided nylon. That's quite fluffy, so the knots bite in. That's hollow, so I can also splice it, but that make a really good gill material. Well, if you look at my previous video, that show you how to rig the top line, how to space everything out and space the meshes. But obviously these nets are rigged by a half, so obviously you look at it, that's a mesh and that's a stretched mesh. So the 4 knots, that's there. From there to there on this stretched mesh is 100 mil. Well, I want to rig this net by a half, so I want between that knot and that knot to be 50 mil. So before we done the calculations how to work it out on the top of the top line. So if you watch the previous video you'll see about setting it out. But obviously if you increase the gap between a closed mesh and a 50% open mesh, that then decrease the height. I think in math terms that decrease it by, if you do it at 50 mil, that decreases the height, so the height is actually 86% of the full mesh, stretch mesh. So obviously a stretch mesh is 100 mil, you open it up by 50, that height across there is 86%. So obviously 86% of 100 is obviously 86 mil. With 100 mil mesh, that make it ever so easy. So you've got to then stitch them along that gill at the right spacings. Well, I don't actually personally stitch at 86%, I stitch it at 80%. So obviously on that gill you get the top line and that come there, then you've got the mesh come along the gill, and I stitch every mesh at 80 mil all the way along the bottom. So I'll now show you how I do it. Well, some people don't actually stitch the gill on properly, they just bodge it. But I can see why they do it on monos or other nets or throwaway nets. Basically they don't last long, they get ripped and damaged. I can see why they want to rig them quick as possible. But like on heron nets, what I normally rig up nylon heron nets, they last 20-30 years until you damage them, so I always tie the gills on properly. But some people just get the gills and they just thread the mono or thread the nylon braid up and down the gill through the meshes, so that's just in and out. But I don't do that because that's a bodge in my opinion. I've always been taught to do it properly. So I join it on the top rope and the lead line properly, and I individually get a needle and I stitch all the way along. Well, the first thing I do is get the nylon braid. Obviously that's hollow. I just cut the end off, and the first thing I do is get a lighter just to melt the end, and then do it in a point. It's got a little bit fluffy there, it's a little bit hot. Don't want to burn the fingers. Give it another little heat up. And now it's a point. Easily done. And now I'll get out one of my fids, my Selma fids, and I'll splice that into a loop so that I'll go round that top line. Ever so easily done, especially with these fids are worth the weight in gold. And you don't need to do any network. I'm sure most people who rig nets and do that sort of thing, any ropeable network, has got a set of these fids. They're worth their weight in gold. So now I just want to splice the end. I've gone for the smallest fid I got. Hopefully that'll be alright. Because that end a little bit big, I don't know how well that's going to go in there, but we'll give it a go. So I'll go to full length, tease it in, push it along. Oh, I'm going to come out there, bit premature. Go in a little bit further, then come out. Make sure I ain't caught it, there's no fluff. Oh, yeah, bit of fluff. And that's gone in there. I don't really want to catch a bit of fluff, but there you go. That's what's happened. Pull it back. Bloody fluff. Sometimes you get a bit of twine caught in that little groove there. Let's pull a bit of fluff, but I ain't gonna worry about that too much. So just want a little loop you can fit your finger through. Then I'll just pull it down. Just tease it down, and that'll be good enough for me. Well, now I've got the splice loop in the end, and obviously I'll go to the end of the net. This is obviously the top rope. Obviously the lint is stitched on. Obviously the last one weren't a full 5 meshes, it was only short. So I'll get the end of the top rope and I'll slide it through up to where I stitched it. So now what I'll do, I'll go to the other side of that, do a half hitch, and another, I'll come back, do another half hitch that side, pull it tight, another half hitch that side, pull it tight. So that now mean that ain't going anywhere. And what I'll then do is, obviously that's a little bit open, but I'm not pretty bothered about that. What I'll then do is take the twine and do a half hitch round it and pull it tight, and do another half hitch round it and pull it tight. So now you see you got the float line, put several half hitches around it, and that ain't going anywhere, is it? Well, now I've got to finish off this bit of twine, because obviously we don't want all that on there. And then to stitch the lint or mesh onto the gill, I just now got a needle and filled it up with, I think it's like 3Z nylon twine. So what I'll do is I'll whip this on there, hold that underneath it so it's whipped on, and then cut that off. So there'll be no knots there for the lint to catch up on. This will start off being whipped, so I'll secure this and secure that down. Easy. So I'm now going to start whipping this on. Probably not the most conventional way, but that do me. All I'm going to do is do a half hitch, right about there. You see that? I'll tease it right up to the top. See that? It was half hitch. And then I'll do another half hitch. pull it tight. So what that's done, that's pinned the start of the twine and the braid I used to stitch the top on, so that's all incorporated. So all I'm now going to do is do one more half hitch, and that's all locked together. That ain't going anywhere. So I'm now just going to whip it, just to cinch all this down. Just go round and round, keep it nice and neat. You see, I don't want to tie any knots. You start tying knots, the lint will catch up on it. That's not what I want. I want everything to be non-tangle, no loose ends, no nothing to catch on. Alright, this isn't conventional to everyone, and not everyone do it like this, but everyone's different, and everyone have different ideas and views and opinions. Now I've done about half inch. Now I've done half inch of putting that round there. I'll just do another half inch. Make sure you get all of it, because that twine's gone inside. Get that half inch. Go up to the end and pull it tight. And then do another half inch. That's pulled tight now. Alright, that's not conventional, because normally when you do whipping, you tie a loop, whip it along it, and then pull it through. But I still want an end tied in, because now this is going to be the end what I used to stitch the net. So now that's all tied in, I can now start trimming. So what I'll do, get a pair of nail clippers, and I'll cut off the braid and the loose end. So now you can see that now come off. That's now a nice neat joint, so there's no knots, no overhand knots, no loose ends. That's all tied in, that ain't going anywhere. So now I've got to start doing the spacings. Well, I don't know how well you can see the mesh, but what I'll do, you look here, that's got half meshes here. Well, they're full meshes, but not quite to the top. Obviously, there could be another one there, but what I'll have to do is come here, stitch out to there, back, stitch to there, back, stitch to there, back, and go all the way along the whole lot. So then I'll then mark that to suit to get the spacings right. Obviously, it says 80. I'm going to rig at 80%. So that's I'll come in and simulate them meshes every 80mm. Well, I'll now start marking this out. Obviously, because that full mesh, there's a bit of mesh in there. So to start off on that one, I've measured 40mm from the top, done a mark, then done a mark every 80mm. So this suit is 100mm mesh. So what I'll do is I'll get this needle, do a hitch round there, come out to the middle of that mesh, do a sheep bend, then come back. I'll do it all the way along the gill. Well, I'll put a bit more light on it so you can see what's happening now. Obviously, that's one mark to suit that first mesh. If you look at the lint here, I've got to tie into that one. So I've got to go from there, down there, back to there, and carry on. I've put a mark every 80 mil. I've got a stick I use or I mark up. So to start off, I'll go to that line, and I'll do a couple of half hitches. This will make a clove hitch and pull that tight. Ain't quite pulled together, sods of all, but because that's braided and soft, the knots pull in lovely. So then I'll go through here, get that in the middle. There's a knot. That's all I'm going to do and show you. Guesstimate roughly 40 mil there. Obviously go round and go through. And then go to the next one, next mark. That's all I'm going to do it. I'm trying to keep out of the way of the camera. Another hitch on the mark. Pull that tight. Then we come down to the next mesh. Go through. Get the knot right in the middle. Guess your 40 mil again. Go round and through and do your sheep bend. Go round and through. I look a bit awkward what I'm doing, but I'm trying to do it and not get in the way of the camera or the light. So you've got the sheep bend there. They come back. Do your half hitch. And do another. Pull it tight. See that bed right into that soft braid. Then we'll do another one. So go through, get right on the knot, guesstimate your half mesh, nip it, go round, through, and estimate your other 40 mil. Do it again. Then basically you just follow this all the way along until you've done it all. Yeah, so basically you just do exactly the same as that all the way along the gill. So you got a nice stitched on gill, how it should be properly. And obviously when you get down to the other end, well, you go all the way along the gill until you get to the lead line. And then you can do exactly the same thing with the lead line. Exactly the same thing as there with the lead line and tie it all in. So that's how you stitch on a gill properly. Or it's a bit old-fashioned way of doing it, and that's a bit time-consuming. But on these 100 mil nets, that's easy and quick. But when you go down to like heron nets, that do take a long old while. I'll be doing like 700 knots on a gill on a heron net, but these sort of nets, 100 mil for bass and trout and sole, they're ever so easy to do. Doesn't take that long, hardly any time at all. Well, hope you learned something and thanks for watching. I'll catch you again another time. Bye.